Hi, it's Erin from Flying Off the Bookshelf, and today we're talking about the top 10 things to do in Copenhagen, Denmark. The first best thing to do in Copenhagen is to go on a canal tour. This is a great way to see the city and get a feel about where everything is and also learn some of the history of Copenhagen's buildings and the city itself. This is our favorite thing to recommend you do on your first day in Copenhagen because it gives you the lay of the land and you really get to see all the major sites of the city in one go. It's also just so beautiful and really fun. The next best thing to do in Copenhagen is to visit Nyhavn. So Nyhavn means new harbor, even though it's actually very, very old. But this is the section of Copenhagen that you'll see all over Instagram with the colorful buildings. It's definitely worth spending some time here. There's restaurants you can eat at here, or you can just grab a hot dog and a beer from the hot dog stand and sit and enjoy the water. Our third favorite thing to do in Copenhagen is Rosenborg Castle. This castle was built in the early 1600s, and it was the summer house for King Christian IV. It has some really cool features. Our kiddos' favorite thing to see here were the blood-stained clothes because King Christian IV was once shot in the eye during a battle and bled all over his clothes, and then he kept those clothes to show them off to his party guests. It's a pretty silly and gross story, but the clothes are still on display here. The coolest room to see, though, is the Knights Hall, and my favorite part about this room is that there is a throne that is actually made of narwhal tusks. We loved this castle so much. It was probably one of our favorite castles we saw during our time in Denmark. Every room was beautiful, and we also loved exploring the gardens outside. Our next favorite thing to do is to visit Tivoli Gardens. Tivoli Gardens is a theme park right in the center of Copenhagen. And a fun fact about this is that Tivoli was one of the theme parks Walt Disney used as inspiration for Disneyland. This is a fun, family-friendly theme park. There are kid-friendly rides, there's roller coasters. It's so beautiful. They often have concerts and entertainment here. There's great food, and it's definitely worth spending an afternoon here or even a whole day. Number 5 on our list is the Round Tower. This tower was built in the early 1600s, and it was built as an observation tower because Denmark was really well known at the time for its astronomical achievements. To climb the tower, you climb a wide spiral path that goes all the way up to the top, and this path was apparently used to easily cart books up to the library. It's a really cool tower, and when you get to the top, you have some beautiful views of Copenhagen. Our next favorite thing to do in Copenhagen is to visit the Copenhagen Botanical Garden. Now, we love the Botanical Garden in our own city, and I did think it was funny when we visited here because apparently botanical gardens are the same all over the world. It's parents trying to entertain their young children. But we really loved this place. It's beautiful, it's relaxing. There's a really awesome conservatory here with a butterfly house that I thought we were going to have to drag our kiddo out of, and it was a really fun place to go. Our next favorite thing to do in Copenhagen is Castellet. This is a citadel that was built by Christian IV, so the same guy who built Rosenborg Castle. It's actually still a military outpost, but it's also a public park. It's a beautiful place to walk. You can walk through the grounds and up on the hills. There's a really cool windmill, and it's just a great place to spend a day with good weather. Okay, our next favorite thing to do in Copenhagen is to eat Danishes. Danishes are, of course, from Denmark, and Danes are really well known for their delicious pastries. My favorite one was the kind with the vanilla custard in the middle and a little bit of icing on top. It kind of looks like you're eating a fried egg, but it's not. It's custard, and it's so good. Our favorite place to get these were St. Peter's Bakery, which is also the oldest bakery in Copenhagen. Okay, our last 2 things to do in Copenhagen, I'm not gonna lie, they're not really our favorite things, but these are 2 things that kind of feel like if you're in Copenhagen, you have to do them. The first one is obvious, it's the Little Mermaid statue. Copenhagen is famous worldwide for its statue of Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid. It's a cool thing to see, but if I'm being completely honest, it's a bit of an overrated tourist attraction. There are lots of people here lining up to take pictures with the Little Mermaid, and it's a pretty small statue. So it's worth stopping by and seeing if you're nearby, but if you don't have time to see it, don't stress about it. Then our last thing to do in Copenhagen is Amalienborg Palace. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the inside of this palace was not our favorite tour, but this is where the royal family currently lives, so it's an active royal residence. It's definitely at least worth stopping by to see the outside. You might be able to catch the changing of the guard, which takes place each day at noon, And it's a really beautiful plaza outside the palace. It's also right behind the marble church, which is another beautiful building to see. So definitely spend some time in this area checking it out, even if you don't go inside the palace. And those are our 10 recommendations of things to do in Copenhagen. If you're planning a trip to Copenhagen, I'll put a link in the description of this video for a post that has our Copenhagen itinerary recommendations. And if you found this video helpful, I hope you'll hit like or subscribe.